YouTube can throttle us.
They can suppress us.
But they can't stop a text message.
Bill Clinton just testified under oath in the Epstein investigation, and what he said about Trump is absolutely stunning. Meanwhile, Hillary allegedly had a complete meltdown during her own deposition, claiming she can't remember ever meeting Jeffrey Epstein. But here's what they don't want you to know about what really happened behind those closed doors. You see, it's not just about two former politicians trying to save face. This is about decades of cover-ups finally cracking open. Bill Clinton flew on Epstein's plane multiple times, yet Hillary claims she never even met the guy. Come on. And now we have Clinton actually defending Trump under oath, while his own wife is supposedly screaming through her testimony. We expect nothing less from Hillary Clinton. Oh, and when the videos drop, they're going to be delicious. You see, the establishment media wants to bury the story because it exposes the real power players who were connected to Epstein's network. And every American deserves to know what these depositions really revealed and why the Clintons are desperately trying to distance themselves from Epstein now. And speaking of things the establishment doesn't want you to see coming, there is something brewing in our economy, and you can feel it. The warning signs are everywhere. Inflation, market volatility, government spending, out of control. The problem, see, most people never see the full picture until after the crash hits, after the collapse destroys their savings, after it's too late to protect what they've worked for. And here's the brutal truth. You can't shield your wealth after the storm arrives. You have to be ready now. All this economic uncertainty, the chaos in Washington, the warning signs are flashing red. So it may be telling you something crucial about protecting your financial future. That's why so many Americans are turning to Noble Gold Investments to diversify into precious metals. Visit nextnewsgold.com or call the number on the screen, because you do not want to wait until it's too late. And maybe you can find out how you can get one of these 3-ounce American Virtues Independent silver rounds. They are beautiful. But here's the kicker. You see, Trump himself said that he doesn't like seeing Clinton get deposed. He said, because they went after me a lot more than that. Think about that for just a second. The man they tried to destroy with bogus investigations is showing more grace than the entire Democrat establishment ever did. Meanwhile, James O'Keefe is out with a new bombshell. Undercover footage allegedly showing DOJ investigators discussing evidence that could blow this whole thing wide open. Bill Clinton says he had no idea of Epstein's crimes during the closed-door deposition. First it was, I did not have sex with that woman, and now it's, I had no idea. No sex, no idea. The skepticism about Bill Clinton's credibility sets up perfectly. But what about this? You remember this moment? Oh, yes.
I'll say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to work for the American people. Thank you.
Maybe we should all ask the cigar box. As someone who grew up, there's Bill Clinton's post on X, as someone who grew up in a home with domestic abuse, not only would I not have flown on his plane if I had any inkling of what he was doing, I would have turned him in myself and led the call for justice for his crimes, not sweetheart deals. Ah, Bill Clinton is the victim. You see how they spin that? Here's his opening statement to the House Oversight and Reform Committee. Should we? Do we need to? I think we probably do. I'm here today for two reasons. The first is that I love my country, and America was built on the idea that no person is above the law, even presidents, especially presidents. Democracy requires every person to play their part, and I hope that by being here today, we can bring ourselves a little further away from the brink and back to a country where we can disagree with one another civilly, where the search for truth and justice outweighs the partisan urge to score points and create spectacle. I'll do my part, and I hope you'll do yours. The second reason I'm here is that the girls and women whose lives Jeffrey Epstein destroyed deserve not only justice but healing. They've been waiting too long for both. Through my brief acquaintance with Epstein, though my brief acquaintance with Epstein ended years before his crimes came to light, though I never witnessed during our limited interactions any indication of what was truly going on, I'm here to offer what little I know, so I might prevent anything like this from ever happening again. But before we start, I have to get personal. You made Hillary come in. She had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein, nothing. She has no memory of even meeting him. She neither traveled with him nor visited any of his properties. Whether he subpoenaed 10 people or 10,000, including her, was simply not right. We begin this hearing with me raising my hand and taking an oath to tell the truth, but everyone has a responsibility to be honest with those they represent. Whether you raise your right hand or not, each and every one of us owes nothing less than truth and accuracy to the American people. Bill Clinton's opening statement, my friends. His personal defense just got demolished by hard numbers from the House Oversight because the story is escalating quickly. House Oversight Chair James Comer says that in addition to Clinton flying on Epstein's jet 27 times, Epstein also visited the White House 17 times. As one of Epstein's closest friends, there's no way Bill didn't know what was going on. I had no idea. I did not have relations on that airplane. I did not have relations in that hot tub. I did not have relations in that airport lobby. Right? Come on, Billy. Let's see what's going on here.
Mr. Chairman, good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Explain to us specifically what you need to hear from President Clinton today. What do you want to know?
Well, I think everyone's seen there are a lot of photos that have been released by the Department of Justice as well as the Epstein estate. There are a lot of email correspondence that included President Clinton. We know President Clinton had, and Secretary Clinton confirmed this yesterday, Jeffrey Epstein was in the White House 17 times while Bill Clinton was president. We know that Bill Clinton flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane at least 27 times. So those are questions that we're going to ask. Everything that most media outlets have reported with respect to pictures and correspondence between Epstein, Maxwell, and Bill Clinton, these are all questions that we're going to ask today.
Yesterday you both told me that you were planning on asking about an email that Howard Lutnick sent to Jeffrey Epstein, I presume about a Hillary Clinton fundraiser. I think that was the one. He's worth asking about. Is he not worth asking him to talk about what he might know?
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting when we hopefully get that video out later today or tomorrow as quick as we can get it out. I think it'll be interesting what Hillary Clinton said about Howard Lutnick.
And how she said it.
And how she said it. We looked, I think that was Miss Mace, with the line of questioning. So there was a pretty thorough line of questioning yesterday between Miss Mace and Miss Clinton with respect to Lutnick. Now, I think you all find it very interesting what she had to say, but we're going to continue to ask questions of everyone that shows up in photos on the island and things like that. Yes.
Secretary.
I will be asking for him, yes.
You will.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Obviously, we heard from Secretary Clinton after her deposition. She described the session as repetitive. She said it veered off topic. She was asked about things like UFOs, Pizzagate. Can you explain why those topics were brought up, and also in light of the release of that photo?
And she also said there were substantive questions yesterday, too. But one reason there were repetitive questions about Epstein is because we went through every email and every correspondence that implied Hillary Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein communicated often. You all have seen the email where he said that she looks better in person and all of that. Those were questions we asked. So every item of evidence that would suggest Hillary Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein had a close relationship, we went and asked about that. So it may have seemed repetitive because there was a lot of documentation that would suggest that she had a relationship with Epstein.
And
so
go
ahead.
Clear, Secretary Clinton actually asked about the NDAA. Sorry.
Go ahead.
To be clear, Secretary Clinton actually asked us about what happened with the disclosure language in the NDAA. So, I mean, I know she's trying to pivot from the fact that she's here and she had a very close relationship regarding the Clinton Foundation and Epstein and Maxwell. But the point is, and I think I'd like to hit on this with probably Ms. Mace here, but I think we have a very important interest and curiosity about what specifically the co-conspirators had a role in all this, right? We know for a fact that some of these were women, and I think that today, at least with my line of questioning, I'm curious about that. Why is it that these women were given plea deals as adults for trafficking minors? How much of that did they witness, et cetera? And so, I don't know that Secretary Clinton was all that honest about the context of this investigation. We asked extensively about intelligence ties, whether or not she felt that she was targeted as a result of possibly an intelligence gathering operation. And she was very curiously interested in that. And then also, you'll hear it in the response, but had told us to follow up with a few countries, one of which is our ally. So that's interesting.
And I think Ms. Luna brought up a good point about the Clinton Foundation. There's so many examples in the evidence the Department of Justice released in correspondence where Epstein bragged about how involved he was initially in setting up the Clinton Global Initiative and the Clinton Foundation. We asked those questions to Secretary Clinton yesterday, and she kept saying, well, she was in the Senate at that time. She wasn't focused on it. You'll have to ask my husband. So a lot of the Clinton Global Initiative questions yesterday went unanswered because Ms. Clinton deferred to her husband. So we'll do one more question. Annie, go ahead.
It's our understanding that you guys asked Secretary Clinton yesterday about photos of her husband in the Epstein files. What was her reaction when you showed various photos, for example, of her husband in the jacuzzi that we've seen?
I'm going to let Miss Mace answer that. We're on TV.
Okay, I'm not going to say anything. No, she didn't want to answer any questions about any of that and deferred most of those, if not all of those questions, to her husband, and he will be thoroughly asked about that today. What did he know? When did he know? What did he see? Because there are other people who've come forward publicly, like Kevin Spacey, who thought all of this was very strange and actually a very high risk for a president of the United States or former president. It's all very bizarre, but I asked her very pointed questions, and you'll see that in the transcript and the video that comes out, and you'll see how she responded as well, screaming.
And we'll close with this. We're going to get the video out as quickly as we can get it uploaded and the sound and everything from yesterday. So this is, for all practical purposes, a public deposition. The American people are going to see it. I've heard.
Let's go. Let's see it. The frequency of contact makes Clinton's denials look even worse, and now we're seeing lawmakers demanding accountability. There are a number of Epstein co-conspirators given plea deals. Why?
Secretary Clinton actually asked us about what happened with the disclosure language in the NDAA. So, I mean, I know she's trying to pivot from the fact that she's here and she had a very close relationship regarding the Clinton Foundation and Epstein and Maxwell. But the point is, and I think I'd like to hit on this with probably Ms. Mace here, but I think we have a very important interest and curiosity about what specifically the co-conspirators had a role in all this, right?
So what was the role? Connecting them to the Clinton Foundation, the founding of the Clinton Foundation, and Hillary claims she never even ever met the guy. It's hard to believe, to be honest with you. But do you believe anything the Clintons say? The plea deal outrage connects directly to allegations the Clintons themselves may have benefited from the same kind of protection. Bombshells incoming legal scholar Jonathan Turley laying out for the American people on what to expect from the deposition.
I want to go back to what the Republicans were saying. It kind of piqued my interest. I wonder if you picked up on it. They're interested in a line of questioning talking about Jeffrey Epstein's ties to the Global Clinton Foundation. What kind of questioning might that be, and what could they glean from that?
Right. This is an area which has a lot of questions that haven't been answered, and I don't think they got any answers yesterday. In fact, Hillary Clinton seemed to sort of throw Bill under the bus and said, go ask him. I was busy at the time. But, you know, the key here is that obviously Bill Clinton is not being accused of any crime here.
She was busy with the whole play-to-play thing, right? Oh, yeah.
What is sort of the modus operandi of the Clintons is to go into these depositions and to evade direct answers. But they're going to get specific questions about these emails in which Epstein is indicating that he was not only just a great contributor, but helped establish this initiative and help the Clintons in their efforts. And that was reinforced with the appearance of figures like Maxwell at the wedding of their daughter. So there's going to be a lot of questions along those lines. What was fascinating about the Democratic members is that they objected that they believed that they might have been surveilled or spied upon by this administration. It's highly ironic because the Democrats have defended Jack Smith in recent disclosures that he actually seized the phone records of leading Republicans, including the Speaker of the House of Representatives, figures like Jim Jordan, who was investigating the Justice Department. That was actual surveillance. That was actual investigations targeting members of Congress. So I thought that was an ironic moment.
Legal experts now revealing that the Clinton deposition strategy may be falling apart with Hillary distancing herself from Bill. Wall Street Apes writes Bill Clinton needs to answer in the Oversight Committee why he was mentioned 1,193 times in the Epstein files. Pam Bondi says Epstein and Clinton would fly internationally together frequently on a plane that had a bed used for sexually assaulting. Well, you can read it there.
Oh, he was on the plane, not only on the plane a couple times, multiple times. He traveled internationally with Jeffrey Epstein. And he was on the plane called the Lolita Express because it supposedly had a bed in there where Jeffrey Epstein had young girls. He has been a friend of his, a continuing friend of his for years and years. Contrast that with Donald Trump, who hasn't spoken to him in many years, over a decade, after he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago for bad behavior. So that's the difference there. And I think Americans see the two-tier justice system. But, you know, we don't know. They're saying Clinton has not been to his private island, but he has traveled all over the world with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know.
Yeah, I'm sure Slick Willie had enough fun over there on the island. Staggering numbers from Epstein files demand answers, and now we're hearing disturbing details of what happened on those flights. Megyn Kelly sharing a decades-old photo of Clinton allegedly oogling her young friend hours before the Epstein testimony. There's the picture. There's Bill getting a shot of those girls. Oh, Bill. Just can't help himself, can he? That's from the New York Post. The evidence keeps building, but this decades-old photo suggests Clinton's inappropriate behavior around young women was noticed long before Epstein. James Comer confirms Epstein visited the White House 17 times on top of Bill Clinton flying on the Lolita Express, claiming, "I didn't know him. Will not fly."
Chairman, good morning. Thank you.
We just played that. The mounting evidence makes Clinton's denial seem increasingly impossible to believe, and now Democrats are desperately trying to change the subject. Ahead of the Epstein deposition of Bill Clinton, Democrats in chaos, Representative Garcia unhinged. Brandon Straka calls it an absolute clown show.
I also want to add one other thing which I think is really important. Republicans have now set a new precedent, which is to bring in presidents and former presidents to testify. So we're once again going to make that call that we did yesterday. We are now asking and demanding that President Trump officially come in and testify in front of the Oversight Committee. He appears in the...
Yeah, good luck getting that vote, pal. Again, this is why winning the midterms is so important. Because if we lose the midterms and the Democrats get a majority, then you will see President Trump pulled in front for a deposition about the Epstein files. Mark my words, that will happen. So if you're planning on sitting on your hands when it's time to go vote, then I blame you.
Files next to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, almost more than anybody else. So it's time for the president to answer questions about why files are missing from the DOJ, why there's been a White House cover-up, and why we continue in that administration to call this investigation a hoax. And finally, I'll review the call that we made yesterday that we are demanding, again, that the press and the public be allowed inside the depositions so that you can hear the answers and the questions directly. And if that's not going to happen, they need to release a full, unedited review of the questions and video within 24 hours of the end of these depositions. That means that the Secretary Clinton deposition needs to be released immediately today. And with that, I'll pass it along to Mr. Faust.
Thank you so much.
Good luck. Good luck with that. While Democrats scramble for distractions, we're getting explosive reports about how Hillary Clinton handled herself. Nancy Mace says Hillary was screaming during her deposition. Screaming. Hillary's meltdown provides context for today's Clinton testimony, but there are even more disturbing allegations emerging about what investigators found. Today is Bill Clinton's Oversight Committee hearing on Epstein. James O'Keefe got undercover footage of a senior Department of Justice investigator confirming, oh God, that there is footage of Bill Clinton and Epstein. You can read what's on your screen, okay? I guess we're going to play the clip. We'll let the undercover video speak for itself. Buckle up.
But yeah, but it's soon come out that he was a CIA informant.
He was a CIA
Or he wasn't a CIA. I think he's protecting a lot of other people. He's not protecting himself because there's nothing there, but he's protecting a lot of people. Because Trump's now saying it's a hoax, the case is like a hoax or something. I mean, come on, you know it's not a hoax. He's been on the plane, many times. It's just he was never on the plane with the kids. I've seen the itineraries and I've interviewed all the victims. There's never been an instance where Trump was on a plane with these kids and a rape occurred. But that can't be said for Clinton, and it can't be said for others. While the Clintons were on the plane, while Bill Clinton was on the plane, there were rapes that occurred.
Overheard at Phoenix Airport on September 8th, 2025, a senior Justice Department investigator who personally worked on the Epstein case tells all. Glenn Prager, who has reviewed Epstein itineraries and has interviewed Epstein's victims, drops a bombshell. He says that the DOJ did not want to go after Epstein because he's a CIA asset, that the evidence from his investigation confirms that Bill Clinton was present for alleged rapes on the Lolita Express, and that President Trump was not present for the rapes that Glenn Prager investigated, but that he is protecting a lot of other people that were.
How about this whole Epstein thing that's like going on?
I worked on that case. I used to interview all the victims. And my picture was 20 to 30 victims in Palm Beach that I was interviewing and dealing with and stuff like that. And then we would go ready to go to trial and they would flip. Epstein would just pay them off. And they were just like these little kids. They pay off their family. They're all broke kids and poor families and all. So you pay them off like anywhere from $150,000 to $500,000. Nothing in that guy's world.
Prager there describes how the victims that he interviewed were paid off by Epstein right before going to trial. Prager has worked as an investigator inside the Department of Justice for over 20 years. According to Prager's LinkedIn About page, it says that during the tenure at DOJ, Prager served as an inspector overseeing sensitive investigations involving major DOJ components, including the FBI, DEA, Bureau of Prisons, U.S. Marshal Service, ATF, and the U.S. Attorney's offices. This seems to corroborate what Prager told us. He was tasked with interviewing Epstein's rape victims and investigating flight logs. On his backpack in the airport, we spotted an embroidered FBI patch which caught the attention of our citizen journalist.
I'll tell you this, because no, it's not talked about yet, but it'll soon come out that he was a CIA informant.
He was a CIA.
Or he wasn't a CIA.
Although many have suspected it to be the case, this is the first time a Department of Justice official has confirmed that Epstein worked for the CIA and is a foreign asset.
So DOJ was settling a case, and they were just letting him, do house arrest, and they minimized his arrest. Part of that is because all the victims kept on flipping, and they didn't have anyone to go to trial with. The more importantly part is they didn't want to go after him. He's a asset for the United States and Israel for the CIA. I just know that's what he was, and that's why he was protected so long for this. And people turned a blind eye about all this garbage that he was doing in the United States. He had a lot of secrets, more about Israeli stuff than anything else. I mean, he was doing stuff for Israel and the United States. He was, he's working for both.
Glenn Prager, the Department of Justice investigator on the Epstein case, then talks about whether President Trump was involved. Many are trying to tie Trump to Epstein, but what Glenn Prager says is that Trump wasn't present during the inappropriate sexual behavior that he was investigating. But Prager does say that Bill Clinton was, backed up by his experience interviewing the victims and reviewing the Epstein Lolita Express itineraries. Quote, "They killed the Epstein list to protect the Clintons."
But they claim that that Trump's involved in the rapes and all that stuff, and he wasn't. I mean, I've seen the agendas, I've seen the itineraries, and I've interviewed all the victims. There's never been an instance where Trump was on a plane with these kids and a rape occurred. But that can't be said for Clinton, and it can't be said for others. I remember that it was being killed because I know Clintons were on there, and
The Clintons were on there.
100%. And while the Clintons were on the plane, while Bill Clinton was on the plane, there were rapes that occurred. And that's what I'm saying. Trump, although as many flights as there were and all that kind of stuff, and on the island and all that stuff, he was never there during a single alleged rape. But Clinton for sure, and that's where the big cover-up was.
The Department of Justice investigating inside the Trump Justice Department says that while Trump may not have been present during the crimes that Prager investigated, it is clear that Trump is, quote, protecting a lot of people.
I don't know what's new that I have never seen that he's so hesitant to now show what's going on, and releasing all those files and stuff like that. I think he's protecting a lot of other people. He's not protecting himself because there's nothing there, but he's protecting a lot of people.
The citizen journalist boarded American Airlines Flight 1634 and landed in D.C. Monday at 8 o'clock at night and proceeded to go to dinner with this man, this DOJ investigator, at a restaurant called Blue Duck Tavern. Glenn Prager dislikes the fact Trump said the Epstein scandal is a hoax, but he also says, according to the evidence from his investigation, that Trump is not covering up for himself.
It's Trump's now saying it's a hoax, it's the case like a hoax or something. I'm like, come on, it's not a hoax. He says a lot of stupid stuff. He's been on the plane, many times. It's just he was never on the plane with the kids. People want to tie it to him and say he's covering up for himself, but he's not.
Now, this is a very good thing for President Trump and seemingly exonerates him from many people who claim that he was doing something inappropriate himself. This dinner went on for an hour and 45 minutes as this Department of Justice investigator revealed things to a stranger that the leadership of the FBI and the Department of Justice has not. Prager revealed more information about Trump's hesitation to be fully transparent with the Epstein case, gave us some details about internal gripes against FBI Director Kash Patel from within the FBI, and he detailed a developing feud between Kash Patel and Attorney General Pam Bondi. If you'd like to see more of that conversation in the restaurant, you may subscribe to OMG and find it on our website.
Who was like the one name where you're like, oh my God?
Here he is. Hey there, is this Glenn?
Yes.
You work for the Department of Justice, correct?
No.
You don't work for the Department of Justice. You had a patch on your backpack that said FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, in the airport?
Yeah.
And you talked about how you interviewed the Epstein people, all the Epstein victims. Do you recall that conversation?
I didn't, I don't know. How can I help you?
I wanted to confirm that you, in fact, did work for the Department Hang on with the phone. Let's try calling him again. Glenn?
I'm not talking to you.
Well,
I don't know who you are. I'm not talking to you.
You already did speak to my friend.
Now stop talking. I don't know who you are.
I'm a journalist. I need your help, sir.
I'm not talking to you or any journalist about anything.
Did you interview the Epstein victims?
I can't talk to you.
Sir. On the heels of releasing this story, I wanted to emphasize just how touching it was for me to see Erica Kirk stand on stage in front of those 74,000 people in a stadium and say that she forgives the assassin who killed her husband, Charlie Kirk. I actually took this photo standing.
So, that is pretty damning, to say the least. So, we're going to have to wait and see the fallout from another OMG investigation. But this is only the beginning. Bill Clinton lying under oath? Of course. We've seen it before, right? I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Hillary Clinton? Never been on the plane? What? Sounds like that investigator confirmed it. Bill Clinton says, I've called for the full release of the Epstein files. I've provided a sworn statement of what I know. And just this week, I've agreed to appear in person, but it's not enough for Republicans on the House Oversight Committee. Bill Clinton on his February 27th closed-door kangaroo court. That's what he calls it. If they want answers, let's stop the games and do it the right way in public. Well, don't worry. We're going to see it all. The public will see it. Hillary Clinton testified she had no information on Epstein's crimes. She doesn't recall meeting him. Seems to contradict exactly what James O'Keefe just uncovered. She shared her opening statement. We read that to you yesterday. Here's President Trump, though.
I don't like seeing him deposed, but, they certainly went after me a lot more than that. I don't like seeing him. Look, I like him, and I don't like seeing him deposed.
Showing more grace than every single Democrat on the Hill. But I think this is probably one of the most exonerating moments. More so, I mean, like, you've got the undercover video from O'Keefe, which exonerates Trump outright. But then you have this.
Clinton said, that's for you to decide. And the president went on to say that the president, Trump, has never said anything to me to make me think he was involved. And he meant with Epstein. So I know there's a lot of curiosity about President Trump. I thought that was an interesting thing that President Clinton said. So I'll let the Democrats have the podium and they can answer your questions. But we'll come.
There you have it. Even Bill Clinton said Trump had nothing to do with it. But he's calling his own deposition a kangaroo court, demanding public hearings. Hillary claims total amnesia about Epstein. And Trump, the guy that spent years trying to link to the scandal, just got cleared under oath by Bill Clinton himself. Of course, the tables have completely turned. And the establishment, well, they're freaking out. The Epstein investigation is exposing exactly who the real players were in the network, and it wasn't Trump. While the media spent years pushing fake connections, the actual evidence points to a very different crowd. Bill Clinton's testimony, clearing Trump under oath while his own wife claims she can't remember meeting Epstein, tells you everything about who's really sweating right now. You see, the truth always comes out eventually. And this time it's vindicating the right people while exposing the real culprits. My question for you is, do you think the Clintons are finally going to face real consequences for their Epstein connections? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to check out the Next News merch shop.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now. You know out.